ahead and talk about our number 4 unique hotline or intake application, and that is an on-call line or a phone tree line. So explain this to me, Barney style. Tell me what this on-call or phone tree line means.
Got it. Do you mind if I take this one?
Go for
Okay.
it.
So I think these callers are calling with an issue. Maybe it's after hours, maybe it's during hours, oftentimes after hours. Probably an issue that is urgent and needs immediate attention. And what our agents do is they just get kind of a really quick idea of what it is that the caller needs. And then they immediately kind of disseminate the information through either a call tree or a list of contacts that our client provides us with. So it could even be like, maybe there's 6 different reasons that you could call this line for an emergency. There was a fire, there was theft, other reasons, and you can actually like break out who you want to be called based on what type of issue it is.
I see. So if it's a medical emergency,
right,
you had a specific person to call, or if it was a natural disaster, then in your facility or community, you'd have someone to call.
Yeah, and this is just a great way to kind of help our clients manage their on-call process. Log how many calls these on-call representatives are getting, and then just keep a track of how popular after hours contact is, to like potentially like put a process in place for it in the future.
I have seen one other use of the sort of the on-call line, and that would be for translation and interpretation. So a real world example would be if you had like a nursing facility and someone came into the nursing facility and let's say they spoke German and nobody there spoke German, then they're utilizing that hotline as their interpretation service. So it would be sort of an on-demand, on-call line where they call up, they get an interpreter in German, they put on the speakerphone, and then they utilize that line, as needed for that interpretation to talk to the patient or the client or whoever it might be. So it is something that I know some of our clients are currently using right now, and I think that there's going to be a larger need for that type of use of a hotline and going forward.
You said something also that kind of fits in. This is kind of a neat way that I'm just thinking about. Would this be a line that you could use to kind of log hours, like the amount of calls that, like if you have a medical on demand, this is a good way to say, well, this nurse came in and got a call at 12:57 a.m. and checked back in at 4:26 a.m. and that's how many hours that you would pay for, invoice for.
Yeah, I think that could either be like an on-call like phone tree if we'd have to kind of notify based on how many hours the person worked, or even just like a designated line. Okay. And I think another use that I'm thinking of, so I mentioned crisis, I mentioned like a medical advice kind of nurse on-call line, and we have some that are legal lines for some of those emergencies, but also just incident reporting. So if there was an incident at the facility, you could call live. Maybe it's not quite a crisis or an emergency, but just an incident that could potentially be like a legal risk, and there needs to be a process to communicate that to a safety department. We could do that as well.